Hello, this is the class recording number 8B. So that means the function. This is the second class on function. So we have covered a lot of things and some practice problem related to functions. And now I am going to give you the concept of the void function. You can remember that we have done the void function in our last class, right? Sorry, we had the one statement in our tutorials point related to the void function. So today we're going to learn about it. So what is the void function? So we know how we can return a value, for example, floating point and integer type. So one practice problem has been given in your class. So that has been considered as a class performance. I hope all of you guys got it in each section. So now we're gonna start the second class of function with some basic examples. So this is basically one example of the void function here, that we are declaring a function void. So we are not before that what we have learned that we are returning the values, but right now we are not returning any values. So in this case, as we are writing the void here, that means nothing is going to be returned in my main function. Okay. So here you see that we have a function, we have the main function int main, then we are calling that function, then this function will go here, and what will happen? I just got executed line will be printed out, then it will go back to the main function, then it will stop. So that's all. So it is a very basic one. So if you execute this one, you see I just got executed has been printed out. Okay. Now in this class you have to participate with me, guys, because I'm going to give you some very basic concept of functions, so you have to understand this one, otherwise I cannot proceed to my next lecture. Okay, so in this case you see the type is void because this function, this one, is not returning anything. Now if I want you to change this function which can return an integer value, so you have to do, what you have to do, you have to write down integer here
Int.
instead of void, right? So definitely you have to make your change in function declaration, right? You have to make your change in function declaration. So what is happening? This function is trying to return a value to your main function. For example, we are returning a value, any value. We are return a value, for example, 10. So what will happen? This 10 will return in here, but it will not work because when you are calling that function, it has to return something. So where are we going to save that return value? So in order to save that return value, we have to declare a variable. This variable could be x, y, z, anything. So what is basically happening? When you are calling that function, my function, it is directly go here, and I just got executed will be printed out, then it is going to return the value 10. So the 10 will be returned, it will be saved in x, then your program will be finished, right? But if you execute this one, you see still you have I just got executed, but you did not print out the value of x, right? So what will happen, if I give the x here, what will happen? What will be the value of x now?
10.
10,
10.
right? Because you are returning the value 10 here. So this is how you can convert your void function to different function, right? And if you have a value, a returning value, then you have to write it down like this, that return value will be come here. But instead of writing it down in this way, for example, if you're saying that I don't want to save any variable, I just want to keep it like this. So what you can do? So you have to give cout like this. Okay. Then when you are returning that 10, when you are calling the my function, it will directly go here, and I just got executed will be printed. Then it will return the value. So this 10 will be considered as the output of that function. So if you execute it, you see I just got executed, and immediately after that we have 10. Why everything we have in the same line? You see you have the 10 because I did not give any new line, right? Or ended, right? That's why when look how this function is working, you have to give your full concentration. Look, int main, you are calling see out my function. You are calling my function. That means this will directly go to this function. Then the line I just got executed will be printed out. Then we will have the return. Then return will go back here. That means it will be printed out in cout. So can you remember we have written something like this: cout before x plus y minus z, or x minus 6, or x multiply y. This kind of things we were able to write down, right? আমরা এগুলা লিখতে পারতাম না cout এ? So it directly used to give you the result, right? Instead of writing it in this way, isn't it?
Yes,
Instead of
sir.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, ওখানে return 10 কেন 12 এ?
okay, wait for a second. Integer z equal to x into y. So আমরা এই লাইনটার বদলেও এটাও লিখতে পারি, অথবা আমরা ডিরেক্টলি কি লিখতে পারি, x multiply y. We can directly write it down, right? So that is the thing. So in cout you can write, you are allowed to write this expression, and you are also allowed to write down your function. You can directly write down your function in there. Okay, Fahim, you can ask your question now.
Sir, আপনি line number 10 এ 12 এ আপনি return 10 দিয়েছেন ওখানে I'm just এই জায়গাটা একটু confused.
Return একটা return value করতেছি Fahim, এখানে যে কোনো return value. You are allowed to return any value, right? So in
Alright, so কোনো problem হবে না, কোনো issues নেই.
There will be a problem because here you have written your function in such a way that it can accept a return value, because you are writing integer, then you are writing my function. That means this function has to return a value, and this value has to be an integer type. So when you are returning that value, that will be directly printed out in cout. So you are returning the 10. That's all. Fine.
Alright, জি sir.
Now let me make it more clear. Can we return the x? আমরা কি string return করতে পারি না? Sorry. So here we will have to give string. Then here we have to give string. So what is happening here? I just got executed. Then what is my return value? After string type আমি return করতে পারি, তাই না? So I'm just writing the string here. And what is the return value now? What is my return value? Fahim, কি return হচ্ছে? X return হচ্ছে. What we have in it? আমাদের কি আছে এখানে?
Fahim.
So the type is what? In your function you have declared that a string type will be returned, right? Now
Yep,
if you have want the first character to return, for example, if, so you are writing only the character. So here let us execute it. Sorry,
The character হবে string দ্বারা
supposed to be character. Okay, if, and you are returning that one. Okay, now if we execute, what was supposed to be returned? Return হচ্ছে, if return হচ্ছে, তাই না? Because this is a string, right? So you know you are allowed to return anything, right? It could be character type, it could be void, it could be string, it could be what? It could be string, it could be integer type. Now let me do one more thing. Let us convert it to the integer again, and here we are writing the integer. Okay, here you are returning value, Now here you are passing to value as well. I'm not writing it in this way. আমরা এই ফাংশনটাকে কল করব যেমন ইন্টিজার আচ্ছা কাউট রাখি আপাতত so I'm passing two parameters sorry integer ধরেন z দিলাম z equal to this one and I'm passing two parameter 10, 20. Okay, so where we have to make the change integer comma integer. Here what we have to write down integer, for example a comma int b, right? Int b. So I just got executed will be printed. Then look, then what I wanted to show you actually in return, if you write down a plus b, then what will happen? Tell me.
Just plus টা আসবে 10 plus 20
Out, you give in cout, you just give z. So what will be the value of z? Is there anyone who can tell me what will be the value of z? The value of z will be now 30.
30. Yeah.
You have in two values 10 and 20, so the value of a will be 10 and the value of b will be 20. That means this line will be printed out as usual. I just got executed. Then it is going to return what? So far we have seen that in return we are returning a single value. Either we are returning something, a single value, or we are returning nothing in the void function. But we are allowed to write something like this in expression. Whatever we have in the right side of our expression, we can write our return value like this. So here what will happen? So 10 plus 20 will return. So the value of the z will be what? 10 plus 20, the value of the z will be 30, right? So if you execute, you see, okay, sorry. No, if you execute, the value of the z is what you see, 30 is getting printed out. Now, if you just give multiply 10 here, and you put it in bracket, no problem, you can also put it in bracket. So a plus b into 10, that means 30 into 10 will give you 300, and see the 300 is getting printed out, right? So we can define or we can write down our function as we want, and we can return value. Definitely we have to follow the rules, but yes, and we can use those rules to return our values. আমরা যেমন ভাবে চাই তেমন ভাবে আমাদের ভ্যালু রিটার্ন করতে পারি. Is it clear to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yep, sir.
Now let us move to the next example of our function. By the way, one more thing I forgot to tell you that if I write down, you see, instead of writing out immediately after the main function, if I write down here before the main function, then you don't have to go for function declaration. You can remove the function declaration. It will work perfectly. You see, I just got executed 300. So if you would like to give it immediately after the main function, then only you have to declare the function just before your main function. Is it clear?
Yes,
All right,
sir.
so here we have another one, a very simple function. So okay, so let me copy it from here in order to make it easier to you guys. Let us take it after that. So here. Now, what will happen here? Is there anyone who can tell me? This my function will be executed once. What will be printed out? I just got executed. Then this my function will be executed. What will be printed out? I just got executed. And then this my function will be printed out. And what will be printed out? I just got executed. So how many times I just got executed will be printed out? How many times? Could you please tell me?
3 times.
All right, so that will be printed out 3 times. Why? Because we are calling the same function 3 times, right? That's why it is getting printed out how many times? It is getting printed out 3 times, right? All right. So you will see something very interesting when you will do the data structure function. আমরা একই ফাংশনকে বারবার আমরা কল করব, so that is called the recursive function. Okay, the recursion. So when you will learn the recursion, it will be very much interesting. Means I think you will get your main interest in programming when you will do the recursive function. তখনই ইন্টারেস্ট আরো বেশি মজা পাবে, যে আমাদের কত কাজ যে কত সোজা হয়ে যায়। এখন কিন্তু আমরা বুঝতে পারছি না যে আমরা যে সিস্টেম গুলো শিখতেছি, কিন্তু আমরা কিন্তু আমাদের কোনো কাজকে খুব সোজা করতেছি না, তাই না? We don't know where is the main application. When you people will go to the data structure, you will know that what is the main advantage of using the functions. Okay. আচ্ছা, এখন let me go back to the previous one. Integer set equal this, and it will let us go back to integer type. And here, now I'm here. Okay, I'm in here. So it will call to the main function. So আমরা কিভাবে লিখতে পারি, একটু চেঞ্জ করি ফাংশনটাকে। এটা আমাদের void function আর হচ্ছে না, it will be my integer type function. And when you are calling that function, it will directly come here and it will take true value from the user. Just এভাবেই আমরা লিখতেছি, বিভিন্ন স্টাইলে আমরা ভ্যালু ইনপুট নিয়ে দেখতেছি ফাংশন টাইপে যে আমাদের কি হয়। So we can take another one, C equals 0, then cout is enter. So here return ধরেন a multiply b. Can we write down in this way? So what will happen in this code? So I'm calling that function, then this function will come in this function. So in this function, actually we are taking we are declaring 3 variables, and we are taking the input from the users. We don't need it actually. And we are taking the input from the users, then we are multiplying these 2 values, and we are returning it to the where in the main function. দেখেন ভ্যালু নেওয়া হচ্ছে কই, আলাদা যে ফাংশনটা ডিফাইন করা হয়েছে সে ফাংশন ডেফিনিশনে দুইটা ভ্যালু ইনপুট নিচ্ছি, এবং দুইটা ভ্যালুকে মাল্টিপ্লাই করে আমি কোথায় রিটার্ন করতেছি, মেইন ফাংশনে রিটার্ন করতেছি, তাই না? So if I give the cout in here, so what will happen? Set. So here please enter the value of int 10 20. So the value, the final value is what? 200. এটা বুঝতে কারো কোনো প্রবলেম হয়েছে? Is it clear to you guys?
Yes, sir.
There will be, I don't think there will be any issue related to functions, these basic functions. So basically আমাদের এই ধরনের প্রবলেম এখানে আছে, এই প্র্যাকটিস প্রবলেম গুলি আমরা নিজেরা করে ফেলবো। যেমন ধরেন you have to tell me this one, what will happen for the output of this one. What will be the output? কি হবে এটা? Is there anyone? Look, in the main function you are calling Liam, so it will call the function main function. Then what I'm passing, you see now the parameter I'm passing what? কোন ধরনের parameter pass করতেছি? We are allowed to pass any kind of parameter, right? Now we are passing the string, right? So that string will be saved in where? In fname, and we are printing out cout fname. That means in the first case the Liam will be printed out, then what? Refsen, right? That will be printed out. Then we have the Jenny will be printed out, then this one, then Anja, then this one, right? So if we then we have the Liam Resness, then we have the Jenny Resness, then we have the Anja baseness, right? So that's how it is going to be printed out. So it is easy, right? We can do all these things, right? Isn't it? এটা আমরা সবাই পারবো। পরবর্তী এক্সাম্পল গুলো নিজেরা করবেন। খুব বেসিক এক্সাম্পল, যেমন এই এক্সাম্পলটা দেখাই দিচ্ছি। এখানে জাস্ট আমাদের এক্সাম্পলটা দেখেন, what we have here. All right. Here we have, you see, we are calling a function divide, and how many parameters I am passing. You see here we have one more interesting thing. Here we are defining the function, but this function can accept how many parameter list we have inside the function. Two parameters, one is a, one is b. But here for b, each time we have set the value of b equal to 2. That means we have given a default value, right? So always remember, if we have a default value and if we do not set that default value from our calling function, here you see we are calling the function divide, but we are passing how many parameters? We are passing a single parameters. That means this 12 will be saved in where? In a, and by default the value of the b is what? 2, right? So integer r, we are just taking one variable, then r equal to the value of the a was 12 divided by 2 will return you what? Return you 6, right? We don't have to give the bracket in here. So the value will be returned 6, and that will be printed out in your main function. The next one, divide, একই function কে আবার call দিচ্ছি, but now we are passing how many parameters? Both parameters, 20 and 4. But now the 20 will be saved in b and 4 will be saved, 20 will be saved in a and the 4 will be saved in b. Now b equal to no more 2 because you are passing the value. So the value of the b will be updated to what? The value of the b will be updated to 4 now. So now if you divide, so 20 divided by 4 will give you what? 5. So you will expect two results, the 6 and 5. Clear?
স্যার যখন 4 দিব তখন b4 হয়ে যাবে।
এক্স্যাক্টলি b4 হয়ে যাবে, কারণ তখন আর ডিফল্ট ভ্যালুটা নিবে না। আমরা ওই যে করতাম না, যখন ভ্যালু আপডেট করতাম আমাদের আপডেটেড ভ্যালুটা নিত না। সেম কনসেপ্ট will be applicable in this case. ওকে,
আমরা যদি b+1 লিখি তাও কি একই জিনিসই হবে?
b এর ভ্যালু
আমরা মানে ইকুয়াল না দিয়ে b+1 লিখলাম তাহলেও কি আমরা সেটা 4 হয়ে যাবে স্যার?
নরমাল রাইট দিস লাইক দিস,
b+1 মানে দিকে +1 অ্যাড করলাম।
we cannot give the +1 like this here. We cannot write it down this way. We have to assign a value. Okay,
I thought যে তখন মানে 4টা b তে অ্যাসাইন হয়ে যাবে তারপর +1 হয়ে যাবে অটোমেটিক্যালি, বাট হবে না, রাইট?
no, you have to assign a value in. Okay, let's see if we give the +1, what's happened. You'll see the definition, it is showing you the issue in your definition. You cannot write it down in this way. You have to assign a value, 2, 1, 3, whatever value you assign. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, so rest of the practice you have to do by yourself. Here 2, 3 and 4, sorry, 2, 3 and area of triangle, rectangle, circular, এই তিনটা আপনারা নিজেরাই করতে পারবেন। ওকে, এই তিনটা চারটা, this one, this one, this one and this, যা আমাদের করা হয়েছে আমরা সবই এখন করতে পারবো। ফাংশনের মোটামুটি আমাদের কনসেপ্ট ক্লিয়ার হয়ে গেছে। ওকে, so that's all from this pre-recorded class. আচ্ছা, আপনাদের আমি শনিবারে একটা 2DR এর উপর একটা ক্লাস দিতে পারি, যেটা আপনাদের জাস্ট প্র্যাকটিস প্রবলেমের ক্লাস হতে পারে। হ্যাঁ, ওই আপনাদের ল্যাব ইনস্ট্রাক্টরের সাথে কথা বলে ওর যদি ফ্রি থাকে তাহলে আমি ওকে দিব, ওর যদি কোনো এক্সাম না থাকে।
টাইমটা কেমন হইতে পারে শনিবার?
আমি একটু দেখি ওর সাথে, কারণ আপনাদের কি এক্সাম আছে ওদিন?
না স্যার, আমার শনিবার বিকালে ক্লাস থেকে 5টা থেকে 7টা।
ও আচ্ছা, তাহলে সকালের দিকে দিয়ে ট্রাই করব।
শিওর শিওর।
All right, you can leave the class now.
Or
আমাদের
yeah.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
স্যার আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Thank you. Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Bye, sir. Have a nice day.